So help you God?
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
U.S. President Barack Obama came to power on a wave of hope. He was even awarded a Nobel Peace Prize early in his first term as Commander-in-Chief. But peace would not be the cornerstone of his foreign policy. In Afghanistan, Obama wouldn't end combat operations until his second term in 2014. He withdrew tens of thousands of soldiers, but kept some behind to train and advise Afghan forces. After the pullout, the Afghan Taliban only regained strength. He also ended the war in Iraq started by his predecessor, George W. Bush. But Obama's initial timetable of 16 months took almost twice as long, and Iraq's security vacuum would later draw U.S. forces back in, as the country, along with much of the region, descended into chaos. It was a call that would be answered, but neither the U.S. nor the international community were prepared for the Arab Spring revolutions that rippled through the Middle East and North Africa. Obama would later admit that the fallout from Libya's revolution and Colonel Muammar Gaddafi's removal from power were the worst mistakes of his presidency. But many see the war in Syria as his biggest foreign policy failure. One that has emboldened Russia, which came to the aid of the Assad regime, and one that has created divisions with NATO ally Turkey over U.S. support for YPG militants. But it's the Syrian people that have suffered the most.
A red line for us is we start seeing a whole bunch of chemical weapons moving around or being utilized. That would change my calculus.
As that line in the sand drawn in 2013 faded, those caught in the crossfire were left with little choice. In Syria, it seems the only way to get help is to get out.
خصوصا الملف الكيماوي عندما استخدم النظام السلاح الكيماوي فقط أخذ السلاح الكيماوي أخذ السكين من هذا الظالم ودعا الظالم طليقا لم يعاقبه.
يعني نحن هلا بدنا نحكي عن أمريكا خاصة. يعني أمريكا يعني ما استفدنا منهم أبدا في شيء.
The policy of Barack Obama to solely target Daesh is seen by some as selective engagement, which ignores some of the worst perpetrators of attacks on innocents. While Daesh has waged its own war against civilians, the regime overwhelmingly accounts for the largest death toll and is seen as responsible for displacing countless families, driving the largest refugee crisis since the Second World War. Others warned that dangerous U.S. policies have remained under Obama's stewardship. He broke his promise to close the Guantanamo Bay detention camp, and the number of drone strikes has soared under his administration, killing as many as 966 civilians in countries that include Pakistan, Yemen, and Somalia. Obama's foreign policy record has its high notes. He was widely lauded for his decision to re-establish ties with Cuba after a 60-year diplomatic standoff.
Good evening.
And his announcement of the killing of Osama bin Laden will long be remembered.
And to the world.
Some also praise his administration's leadership in agreeing a historic deal to limit Iran's nuclear program. Over at the UN, Obama's administration sent a clear message when it decided to abstain on a Security Council vote to condemn illegal Israeli settlements. Obama, like those before him, describes his foreign policy as one that fights for inalienable human rights everywhere. But it will be history that will decide whether Obama's legacy will be one of peace and fulfilled hopes, or one of war and broken promises. Randolph Nogle, The Newsmakers.